Wait, we have the intro, right, Andy? The minute 37 seconds I sent to you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the House Heroes. This is Troy. I'm Ryan.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Thanks for joining us. We thought we had an intro video, which didn't get played, but we're happy to be here. Thank you guys for joining us. Like always, this is interactive. Please ask us your questions. Tonight, we are going to cover, on Instagram, it's the dirty on new home builders. For Facebook, it's 5 things you need to know about home builders.
Right.
We were playing it a little bit nicer. So let's hit.
So first, anyone that likes what we're talking about, I know there's a lot of people out there that are looking at new home builds right now. There's so many different communities that are out there. They're in Fontana, they're San Bernardino. They're in pockets of Orange County.
Yeah, they're really everywhere because you've got
pockets.
infill builds.
Yeah.
I mean, Costa Mesa. I mean, they're tearing down stuff that doesn't make sense, and they're reusing and repurposing that land, and they're building houses because we don't have enough housing. So a lot of buyers, especially millennials, and Gen Z coming up, they want the new home build. They don't want to worry about stuff. They want to just move in, work their jobs, enjoy their life, and not have to worry about house maintenance, house upkeep, stuff like that. So now that we got our faces back and the slides are off to the side, thank you for joining us. We are the House Heroes here on What's a Mortgage, going live as well. Want to basically answer any questions you have throughout the night on any topic. I know some of you guys wait for the Tuesdays to hit us up live. Please do that. For those of you joining us for the first time, please follow us on Facebook. You can follow us down below, and on Instagram as well. You'll get notified when we're going live. On Instagram, we've got our real estate tip of the day. We cover some real estate vocabulary. And for those of you who are on the WAM side that aren't following What's a Mortgage, definitely follow What's a Mortgage on Instagram and Facebook as well. Min's got some amazing content on loans, and he breaks it down in a nice, simple format. So,
give me a second. Hey, Andy, do we have this live on the House Heroes as well? What? We don't have. Yeah. Do we have this live on the House Heroes? No, we do not. I only have it that we're in right now. Okay, so you don't have it live on the House Heroes? What do you mean it's not live on the House Heroes? So if I go to the House Heroes site,
he's trying to look on his phone.
On the. It's live on the House Heroes. Okay.
Technical difficulties abound tonight. So, anyways, let's jump into it. So I want to go through the real estate news. There's been a lot of stuff rolling out. It's kind of been the same monotony, and I hate saying it time and time again. There's no inventory. Rates are low. Unfortunately, because of the coronavirus, a lot of money piled out of the equities markets, and stocks went into bonds that drove rates lower. So we had a little, quarter point, whatever, lower due to some unforeseen, circumstances across the globe. Hopefully they get that under control. But I wanted to make sure that, you guys knew that it's really status quo. There's not a lot of inventory out there. We're beating a dead horse here, but we're going to say it again for those of you who haven't been, watching the last couple of weeks. So inventory is low, rates are low. So the market's hot. You've got bidding wars. And if you're out there looking, you need to be aggressive. So
a lot of people have come up to me and all of us and have asked us about REO. And REO is there's always going to be REO, guys. Always. And so what we want to do is we want to start this, starting this week. Anybody who's interested in, let's say, the REO, like what's available in their area, like a county area, we have no problem giving that information. If you go to our House Heroes site and you send a message through Messenger, we will definitely put you on an auto search of we'll get you the list of all those REO properties that hit the market or are currently on the market in your county. And so you can kind of take a watch and take a look at it. I know that after I perused it today, there's 301 that are in Southern California. A lot of them, the majority of them are in a little bit in the high desert, low desert, and a little bit above the high desert. But there are, as I went through, there was 18 of those properties in Orange County. Half of them were in Laguna Woods, which is a 55+ community, but fantastic. It's hit us up, go to the House Heroes website, House Heroes Facebook page, and then just hit in the messenger that you are interested in it, and then we'll ask a few questions and then get you set up.
Yeah, so get you either, if you want to be set up on your own auto search, great. If you want to have the foreclosure list sent to you weekly or monthly, just send us a message on there. We'll get you all set up, and you'll be dialed in and ready to go. And you can start tracking the number of foreclosures, throughout the county, or, the state, if that's what you want to see. So a couple shout outs. What's up, Fong? Says, sup, Ryan, Troy. Thanks for the phone call today. It was great talking to you. You're in great hands with Joe in Fresno. Who else? We got Alex joining us, Jasmine joining us, and Dad. What's up, Pops?
Dad? How's it going, man?
So, anyways, rest of the news. So one of the reports that came out this week stated that majority of millennials want to become home buyers, which you already knew, but their hesitation is they don't know where to start. They don't know where to get information, and they feel like that lack of information is making them uncomfortable, and that's what's keeping them from joining the housing market. And so Troy and I were kind of talking earlier about it's funny because when you're a kid, like everything's a first, right? Your first ice cream, your first amusement park ride. You have all these firsts, and everything's exciting. It's and then as you get a little bit older, you start to get a little bit aware of fear, and some of your firsts are like, okay, meeting new people, trying a new sport. But you step out and you make that attempt, and a lot of times that's how you find your favorite sport. As you get into high school, a lot of times you're like, oh, there's new groups of people. You step out, you meet some new people, and some of those become your friends for life. And so stepping out of your comfort zone can be fantastic. But as we get older, we get a little more comfortable. We get in our ruts, and we stop challenging ourselves. Because we want to feel safe, and really. That's where good things come, is when you challenge yourself. And so, that's one of our goals here, is to educate and empower. So those of you out there who want to become homeowners, those of you who want to get your second home and have it be a rental, we can provide that information for you so that you don't have to be scared, that you feel comfortable and make that leap. And get into the market. And so it's kind of interesting as we're seeing some of the news come out about, hey, some of the barriers to entry for people is exactly what, we're trying to avoid. We're trying to get out there and really educate. So,
and just to elaborate a little bit on what you're saying, Ryan, it's just the first step. Right?
It's the first step.
Taking the first step. Yep. And, to home ownership, we've said this many times. Yep. It's the first step. It's to figure it out, and take that first step. Hey, you know what? I want to put a plan together. I'm gonna take the first step, put a plan together, and then execute that plan on a monthly basis until I achieve home ownership. And that's really what I see coming out of the millennial generation. I talked to a lot of millennials. I sold them, 40, 50 first-time home buyers, let alone last year alone. I closed, and I'm just out there and amongst them, and they've always said the same thing. It's like, they just got tired of paying the landlord, and it's like you hit rock bottom. It's almost like, you hit rock bottom, and you go, I got to push through. Yeah. Others, I just had a closing with Lee Marie a couple weeks ago, and her parents instilled that in her. Unlike, my generation, where my parents were like, you're 40 years old before you get your first home, so they're not really talking about homes. Her parents instilled it in her, so she actually had a plan prior to even going into college, right? That this was step by step.
That's fantastic.
It was fantastic. Dealing with her, she knew what she wanted. She got a really good deal. She's very happy with it.
That's awesome.
With her property. So
let's get into the meat. So today we got 5 things you need to know about builders, and these are key. I mean, the average person, working in a new home builder, they don't even know some of these things. And so, we'll talk a little bit about it here later, but, really, you got to remember, who are you talking to when you're at the new home construction site? You're talking to somebody who's got goals, they've got sales quotas, and they've been trained by the builder. I mean, they're being spoon-fed information by the builder on how to interact with you, what to talk about, and, they don't necessarily understand the rest of the pieces of the puzzle all the time.
So this last week, I had gone to several different builders, actually 4 different builders. I had 2 clients. We both got them into the contract at a new builder. And it's very interesting, the experiences that they had and the experiences that I've had with the salespeople that are there. As we walk through the front door of those sales offices, and then you make your way, you talk to the salesperson, and they're like, they hand you some brochures and this and that. Then you make your way over to the model homes, right? Yep. So the number one thing that you want to know is you want to hit model homes, right? And so we walk through the model homes, and we're checking them out. We're looking at it, and these look beautiful. I mean, inside, they're fully decorated. You know, they're
amazing.
You know,
you just want to move in. I'm like, all right, I'm camped out here on this couch. So we're gonna play a little game right now.
Yes.
So if Roxy's still with us, join in here. If you got your hands free, get them ready.
Hey, what's up, man?
Dad, man, what's up, man? Love the jacket. We want to play a little game called What here on this model home is an upgrade? Because that's the thing. You walk into these model homes and buyers go like, oh, this is amazing. This is everything I want. Where do I sign?
Right.
And then as an agent, you got to reel them back in. Okay, wait, we're looking at a ton of upgrades.
Right.
And let's go ahead and
So any of you out there, absolutely.
What's an upgrade and what's not.
You know, we love to have comments back and forth. We want to be interactive. So let's be interactive on this. I don't care if you've seen this, you know, and 5 hours from now, 10 hours from now. Tell us what you think actually comes with this home and what actually is an upgrade. And then you're going to be surprised.
Yeah, and for those of you following us on Facebook, I apologize that you can't see this.
Instagram.
Instagram. Right. So you got to jump on Facebook if you're available, and you can definitely watch and play along here.
Right.
Because we can't see the comments up there. So we decided to go Instagram Live at the same time tonight. So Roxy, you still out there? What's up, Min? All right, we got nothing. Well, let's just start picking them off. I mean, right off the bat, flooring. So you've got an upgraded, looks like either a tile or a luxury vinyl plank here, and that is a definite upgrade. Troy, a typical home, what comes with this home?
So all the home builders I went to this weekend and the several clients I locked in, it comes with, drum roll please, carpet. Yes, you got carpet.
With very thin pads.
Right, very thin pad. Well, and it's very interesting because when I went to D.R. Horton doesn't have any upgrades, by the way. It's called an express home, right? And the express home is kind of like a widget.
No, it's an express. They put it together in a fast moment.
Right.
Let's throw some crappy carpet in there.
Well, hold on. The model home. This is what the interesting part of express homes are. The model home is completely upgraded, right? Yet there is nobody on site. There's no design center on site that you could actually upgrade. So what they tell you is, I want you to imagine. So your imagination isn't good enough. So we're going to show you what your house could be like if you spend an additional 20,000, 50, 40, whatever outside of it. So my client was like, "Oh yeah, I'm really excited. When we went in the first model home, I'm excited. This flooring looks fantastic. Pump the brakes. Doesn't come with that flooring.
Doesn't come with that.
And then we actually, as we walked through it, I went ahead and reeled back the salesperson to say, okay, what really comes with it and what doesn't. And she said, well, none of this comes with it. It comes with carpet. The walls are all just orange peel white.
Well, and that's it. And let's go through a couple of shouts here. So Alicia says the ceiling and flooring probably an upgrade. Absolutely.
The ceiling
and
is
that's the same thing.
upgrade.
You'll walk into the model and it's not the normal orange peel, textured ceiling. They've got coffered ceilings with all kinds of paneling. All an upgrade, huge amount of money. You're never going to do that through the builder.
No.
Lynette says upgrades, floors, windows. That's another great shout out, the windows. So you walk into a new home builder, everybody wants that, bifold door, the accordion door. But the truth is, what you are getting is a standard slider in most cases. In some places, it's just fixed windows, and you've got to upgrade to even the French doors. Mm-hmm. And then the other upgrade is the La Casita windows, the bifold door windows and stuff like that. So Laura's got floors, lighting, exactly. So you see some pendant lights over here. Definitely an upgrade. They might not even have the electrical there. You've got to, in a lot of these builders, pick each, recessed can. If you want a J box for a ceiling fan, if you want a light, terminal there so that you can add a pendant later, those are all upgrades that you're adding, $200 to $300 a pop.
So and I'll stop you there. Lennar, actually, when we went to Lennar, if you go into the model home there, they'll have pendant lights. Well, when we actually walked it, and I reeled in the salesperson to go, well, let's walk it step by step.
Yep.
They didn't. The pendant lights were there, but at least the electrical boxes were there, and the J boxes were in the rooms for ceiling fans.
Oh, that's great.
So they said, well, the ceiling fans you see, these $300 ceiling fans that you see in every single room, don't come with it. But we'll have a J box there so you can go buy your own. So at least that they had the electrical there. Just you couldn't, you're not buying the ceiling fan. It's not going to be attached.
You're just getting a little white cover plate there. So Ben says nothing. I love that. Myrna. So Polina, ceiling height, absolutely. So, Timo, the air inside is an upgrade. I love it. That is classic. Absolutely classic. And, going back to the colors, so obviously there's some upgraded paint here. You get a flat off-white or white paint. You're not getting the eggshell that's pictured here. You're not getting a nice designer color. All that's going to be yours to do later. So, Eddie says, just bait to reel you in. Absolutely. What's up, Adam? Good to see you in as well. So, you walk into these models, and that's the thing is you got to ask these questions. Okay, what comes stock? Some builders will have a sheet in there, and it'll explain everything that's an upgrade. Obviously Troy and I've been through so many of those. It's easy. Yeah, it's easy to kind of go through and peel back and kind of visualize it to the client. And normally what we do too is, so when I have a client that's looking towards like, hey, I want this model, I'll always ask the sales rep, hey, do you have a model like this that's almost finished, that's drywall up, that we can go walk so they can see what the basics are? Because a lot of people keep pretty close to the basics in it. They can walk it without all of the upgrades, and then they can get a better feel for it. So, and then... Sorry, we're seeing the notes from our producer over there at the same time. We're distracted today.
Thanks, guys, for all the interaction there.
Yes.
We definitely appreciate it. If anyone else that's seeing this after fact, just go ahead and throw your
comments
in.
I want to comment in. Did we miss one? That's what I want to know. There had to have been one other upgrade we missed there. So let's jump into representation and contracts. So, it's, I had a client, ask me the other day, like, oh, why do you need to sign in? And I'm like, well, there's what the builder might want you to think, and the general public thinks is like, oh, just to get us paid, which is part of it. But the truth is to be able to represent you. If you actually read what you were signing as an agent when you're there to get your commission, as an agent, it says you're referring this buyer to them. So you're still not technically in their eyes that representing you, but the truth is that's what we want. We want to have an agent there to represent you, and that's what the builder is really trying to avoid. Hey, just refer us the client. That's what we want, the referral. And I know you made a comment this weekend, Troy. You were with a builder and our client, and the builder said, "Wow, it's impressive that you're here with your client because most agents sign them in and bail." They really are just about the money. But the truth is that should not be the goal. The goal should be to properly represent you. There's a lot of decisions to be made on a new build, and you want to have the information. You want somebody to help guide you through the process and weigh, because there's not always a one-way answer. You need to weigh everything. And so really what's going on, when you walk into that builder for the first time, they want to know if you're not with an agent, they want to sign you up, and you are now theirs.
Right.
You've been stripped away of any representation that that might have been possible.
And I go one step further. I mean, what other industry you can walk into the front door and they say, "Oh, your representation isn't here." Good, you're being represented by us, right? The builder, people that the seller, you're the buyer. You're being represented by the people that want to make the most money out of their homes. You're being represented by. So just take that in consideration. Any buyer out there, none of them pay the buyer's commission. The seller pays the buyer's commission. So to get represented, it's free to you. It costs you nothing. Both builders, when I went in, actually 4 or 5 builders I went in this weekend, but the 2 that I actually signed my clients up, both of them, there was no difference. People have mentioned to me, there's no difference. If they had an agent representative or they don't have an agent,
difference in price.
There's a difference in negotiating price and ability, right? But there's no difference in like closing costs or lender or whatever.
Absolutely.
There's no difference, right? If you don't bring your agent, we're going to give you 10,000 off. There's nothing. So number one, it's free. Number 2, with us, we have contracts. The California Association of Realtors, on every single resale home, we have a contract. It's 9 to 11 pages. We deal with them every day, hundreds of times a year, thousands of times in a lifetime. Okay, when I walked into Lennar, right, and I asked, after we had sat down and we had walked through the model home, and now we're ready to add contract, I asked, how many pages is your purchase agreement? She said to me, 107 pages. Okay, think about that. We go from ours is what, nine total pages. We add representation and a few others, but it's right around.
Yeah, it's at least 10.
Yeah, so it's 11. But when you walk into a builder, they're 10 timesing the amount. So what's very interesting is when I was with my clients, the salesperson's talking, going back and forth, and I'm like, slam on the brakes. Hold on. What does that mean? Okay? Because now it's just legal mumbo jumbo and jargon, even to me as a veteran experienced real estate agent, I'm hearing mumbo jumbo. So when it came down to contingencies, and guys, contingencies are most important, right?
Yep.
I said, okay, hold on, right? So we should have an inspection contingency that's in our contracts. We have an appraisal contingency, and we have a loan contingency. All three contingencies are very important to our business to protect our buyer.
Absolutely.
What did I hear from Lennar? You don't have an inspection contingency because once the city and the inspector signs off on it, it's done. We're not doing any more work. We've already done our job. Number two, appraisal. If you were to put add-ons such as solar, which we're going to get into a few minutes from now, and we're going to add on to the price, and if the appraisal doesn't come in, it is your job as a consumer, as a buyer, to bring in the difference. And it's funny because this is what she said after I hit the brakes. Said, okay, let's talk about this. What about appraisal? And this is what she said. The appraised value is X. If it's higher, it's your responsibility. Number three, the last loan contingency. Well, guess what? If you fill out the builder's application and you get approved and jump on the VIP list, guess what happens? That's loan contingency signed off. So what's very interesting was I almost got the lemon law in California for cars, right? Okay, Mrs. Salesperson, what is our contingencies then? Out of this 107-page ream of paper that we're going to about ready to sign through, right? What is our contingencies? 3 days. You have 3 days, write a rescission. That's it. There was no other contingency. And she said, she goes, in a hot market like this, we keep people's earnest money deposits.
Wow.
Okay? We keep them. He goes, I'm being straight honest with you because the builder can sell this thing faster, quicker, but we want people to understand that they need to close on these homes. And I'm saying, well, obviously my client, on both of these, since it's a hot market, there's no standing inventory. That means there's no inventory sitting there. So all these homes are built in the future. They have future dates of closing dates.
Yep.
One that's at the end of March. The other one's in July. So I'm saying I have 3 days right now to figure it out. And then through the third day, which was basically it's today, right, until July 28th, if anything happens in my life, in my buyer's life, anything, right? Tragedy, anything, they don't get their money back. He says it's complete discretion of the builder. That's what was told to us.
Yep.
Number one. Number two, they really haven't been giving anyone's money back. So I want people to understand that, walking in there, I had to extract that information out of the salesperson, but this is the representation that people look for, when you walk in. And I saw how many people walked in there without a real estate agent because they think, oh, well, I got to pay the real estate. No, guys, find a very good experienced agent that does new builds, that understands new builds, that are going to ask all the pertinent information, right? What's going on with the models? What's up with solar, right? Yep. HOA, taxes, which we're going to get in a minute.
We'll get all that.
All these things. Got to know all these things up front.
And just to go through this list that you just went through, every single one of those where she's saying that, hey, it's tough luck, you're going to lose your deposit, from, sitting up there with contingency on loan, there are ways to make sure that you get your deposit back if you can't get a loan. So a lot of times they're saying that you're signed off on because you're pre-approved, but then if something changes on the loan qualifications, let's say you lose a job, when they're talking about discretion, a lot of times you say, hey, look, now we're not approved for a loan. So you can really push that hard. And that's where you want somebody to fight for you and use the proper terminology, understand their contract. And so I know on one of the ones that you signed with a contract the other day, a client the other day, that's what I told her. Look, I will go through that entire contract and tell you the differences, go through those contingencies with you so you understand them and know what leverage we have or don't have. Talking about the appraisals down here at the bottom, I mean, we've talked about it before. We had a client buying $1 million new home build. It didn't appraise after they put in a ton of upgrades, over 100,000 in upgrades. It didn't appraise. And if you read the contract, it says that the buyer has to bring in that shortfall for all of those upgrades they did that didn't need appraisal. We got them to knock off a huge chunk of that, more than 50%, because they needed that
And it's
property as a
represented by a real estate agent.
Yeah, that's why, because we
Experience.
represented them. Exactly. We knew how to fight on that. So there are ways. You definitely want your representation, because if something goes sideways, you need to have somebody really battle for you who understands it and knows how to, navigate those waters. So, all right, number 3. So tax rate and HOA. Break that down for us, Troy.
So what happens is, on a lot of new communities, they have extra taxes called Mello-Roos on top of just a regular tax rate. That Mello-Roos are bonds that are for streets and schools and parks and utilities. And so those bonds need to be paid by the entire community. Yep. So typically, the 2 communities that I went to that I sold into basically were about 2%, right? They were new, breaking ground. I know that you're going to find, less tax rate in an infill like you're talking about, where all the streets are already built and the schools are already there. In Orange County or in LA County, they're going to be cheaper. But you got to know the tax rate. So for example, I have a client that one of my clients putting down $300,000 on a $400,000 house.
Yep.
Right. And it's very interesting. And she's trying to get $1,000 payment out of it. And I'm like, okay, well, it's just, she's selling her home. The proceeds are going to be significant. And she goes, I just want to have a bunch of money in the bank. I want to have $1,000 payment, which I can cover, no problem, feel at ease. And so when we came down to it, she had to put $300,000 out of $400,000. And she's like, Troy, she was just, it was very confusing to her when they were talking to the salesperson. I said, okay, time out. Let's talk about this. So you understand, we're buying a $400,000 home. If we're looking at a 2% tax rate, that's $8,000 a year. If we break it down, that's like $700, $720-ish a month. So guess what? Your $1,000 payment, you're paying $300 to $350 on your actual mortgage. But guess what? You're paying $720 on taxes alone. So 2/3 to up to 3/4 of her payment was simply tax.
Yeah.
Right? Is property tax. Got to know that, because
you do not have to know that. And luckily for this client, the good news is she's over 60, and so she's got the Prop 60, Prop 92. She's, I don't know, well over 62. So she's got the ability to take her tax basis from 1989 here in Orange County and move that to Riverside County through Prop 60 and then Prop 90 with the transfer. So, those are the sums we talk about. But yeah, that's it. There's still some Mello-Roos on there.
Right.
And they have to factor that.
Yeah, you do not dodge Mello-Roos.
Yeah, you don't.
Right, you don't dodge. You
Yep.
only just
The
slightly
1%,
lowering your tax rate.
Yep, absolutely.
Your base tax rate.
So, and that's the thing, is when you're breaking these down, you have your 1%, base tax, and then on that things get tacked on. So you've got these Mello-Roos, these bonds that are floated, like you're saying, for streets, storm drains, gutters. Then you also have communities facilities districts. So if they're all of a sudden building a new park and a new fire station, and just to support this area, everybody who already lives in the city is like, why do I have to pay for a new fire station that's never going to come to my house? It's only going to service that area. Mm-hmm. Why are we building another park over there that I'm never going to go to? So they look at who's going to benefit most by, for these services, and they charge those homes. So you have these communities and facilities districts that get charged on top of these Mello-Roos. Then you got crazy things like, water standby charges, all this stuff. And that's where you get these tax rates that add up to roughly 2%, and so you want to know, what's the tax rate? Are there Mello-Roos? And so a lot of the infill areas, if you're in an older area and they didn't have to bring in new sewers, they didn't have to bring in new storm drains, you don't have to bring in new streets, gutters, streetlights, all that stuff. A lot of times you'll see those advertised. There's no Mello-Roos, and that's why, because it's infill development. There were already those services there, and so they didn't have to charge you, the homeowner, for it. Because otherwise, if you didn't have these high, taxes, you weren't paying it through these 30 and 45-year bonds and stuff. Really, that $400,000 new house would cost you $1 million for that builder to build and pass it on to you right now. So they're basically just spreading it out over time. So that's kind of a little bit of the breakdown, but you need to ask those questions. And then also HOA, because a lot of these developments, they're like, well, the HOA now is $275, but at total build out it's $200, because they'll have more people paying into it. But what happens if market shifts or something and you're stuck and they don't build out all these other services? Because we did see that the last go around. All of a sudden things stopped getting built, and so you got stuck with that. So you always want to make sure you're just kind of keeping your eye out and seeing if things are selling. Obviously the economy's hot right now and the market's hot, and most of these developments look like they're going to build out with no problem. But you still want to know and know what the payment is now, worst case scenario.
So here's a very interesting the thing I saw over the last weekend was, I went to Fontana, and as we get past the 210, above the 210, they're building like crazy. And there's 4 or 5 Lennar communities there. There's Pulte community. There's all kinds of communities there, right? So there's 2 of them right next to each other called the Arboretum, and then there's the Arboretum, and then there's Gabion Ranch, and they're literally a kitty corner from each other, and dirt lots are surrounding them, right? It's just brand new. Well, what's interesting is that the Arboretum, Arboretum does not have an HOA, but Gabion Ranch does, right? And it's like, okay, they're both Lennar communities. What happened? What's the difference between them? And they can't even explain it to me. Like, okay, well, we got an HOA set up over here. Guys, HOA, and I'll just discuss it really briefly. HOA has its purpose, okay? Everyone's like, I don't want to pay HOA. I don't want to deal with the HOA. But it keeps the community clean. They have standards and regulations that with everybody follows will keep your property values up. You can't paint your house green.
Can't have the beaten down Roto-Rooter van parked in front of your house.
Correct.
Work trucks. You can't be doing your oil change in your driveway, making a mess all the time. There's all kinds of restrictions, but it does help conformity to the neighborhood, and that props up house values.
Yeah.
So let's go through a couple of shout outs. So Ronnie says, I'm closing next month, but didn't get an agent. I'll just say, no matter what you do, hire a professional home inspector. These builders, like he was saying, like, hey, you've got no inspection contingency, but they will fix things. So, you've got your 1-year fit and finish warranty, and you normally have your 10-year structural. Some things are even in between those, that are a little bit longer that you'll get. Get the professional home inspection before you close, if at all possible. If not, get it right after you close. Take that list, give it to the builder, and have them fix everything. I guarantee you the city will miss stuff. The builder will miss stuff. You will go on the blue tape walk, putting, there's an imperfection here. The sales lady's pointing this out. Oh, yeah, we'll definitely have them do that. Oh, the drawer doesn't slide right.
Keeps your eye off the big things,
but it's keeping your eye off the big things, and the average person doesn't know what to look for. You don't know what to look for under, the cabinets. Oh, look, there's some, airspace gap here. Are there a proper amount of roof vents on the roof? What does the attic look like? Are there broken, frame members that, in a truss system? Well, that has to be, it's an engineer stamp when it leaves it. If that's cracked or cut, that's a big issue. So there are things that we've seen through our years. I have never sold a new home that didn't have at least one serious thing that needed to be addressed. So absolutely do yourself a favor, get a professional home inspection, and get that list over to them to fix. What's up, Jess?
If Ronnie, you have any other additional questions for us, just go ahead and put in the comments, or
message us.
Message us, and we're more than happy to answer any of your questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Jay Libras is in here. I love it. What up, y'all? I love it, y'all. And then Andres, bought a Lennar home in Great Park and got shunned by agent. I want to hear more about that, Andres.
Absolutely.
And then probably shunned. They probably just signed and left, which is typical, unfortunately. And then Jess says, what's up? So thank you guys for joining us as well. Let's hit number 4.
Solar.
Boom. Hot topic.
Very hot topic. So starting
area.
January 1st, just 28 days ago, it was the law that any new build was have solar on the roof, right? Regardless of whether you were buying it, purchase power, leasing it, whatever. So you had to have solar panels on the roof, and you had to use this because they were, obviously we're going to overpower Southern California Edison, and this is, obviously a cleaner way to bring in electrical into the home. So there's a few things you got to know, right? Number one is that when you walk into that sales office, you got to know that solar has to be discussed. Okay, there's several different ways to purchase or to lease or power lease.
Yeah, and that's the things we normally go through. There's the 3 tiers. So entry level, and some builders give you choices. Some, this is just the way it is. So you want to ask, how is solar handled? What are our options? So first option normally is a power purchase agreement. Just like you're purchasing power now from Edison, you are first, or whatever the local provider is, some cities and PG&E, whatever it is. So normally you're first buying it from that provider. Now you're buying it from whoever owns that solar panel on your roof at a rate that's lower than the normal provider in the area. So you're buying it cheaper first, and then whatever's extra you're getting from the the utility company. So it's a power purchase agreement, and the agreement says you agree to first purchase your power from the solar company, and then whatever you need after that, you're going through the utility. You don't own it. You don't get any, federal rebates. You're just buying it from somebody different, and it's supposed to be saving you some money. Boom. That's tier 1. 2, it's a lease, and you have different lease terms on there. So it's a 10-year, 20-year, 25-year. You need to ask, what is the lease term? And then what are those rough payments? Okay. And then 3, and based on that, you may or may not be getting the federal tax rebate. And then the final one is purchase. You're purchasing outright. And that's where it's important to make sure that the appraisal will cover that. Otherwise, you need to know you're going to be coming out of pocket. That's normally when you're going to get the federal tax rebate. Now, one more thing you need to talk about is, what are my options? A lot of these new home builders have tiers. You can get a 3 kilowatt hour system. You can get a 5 kilowatt hour system, or a 7. You need to know, what is your usage going to look like? What is a typical, build like this going to take? So you want to ask these questions, and then ask, what are the prices for a 7, a 3? What are the prices for a 5? And what are the prices for a 7? And then on top of that, who's even installing these panels? Because a lot of times they're going with big service providers, and each one of those has a little bit different technology. So some of these providers, you can then later add panels if you want. Right. So you can start with a 3 or 5, and if you decide you want more later, you can add them. Other ones you can't, or it's very hard or very expensive. Some reasons it's just because you don't have the roof space, and some because, the inverter panel that they're using only handles up to a certain amount. So if you need to add more panels, you got to upgrade that as well, and it becomes just more costly. So ask these questions, and that's why if you have an agent who's knowledgeable in solar and helps you ask the right questions, you're going to get a lot farther down that path, and you're not going to be unpleasantly surprised later.
Right. All right. Exactly. So solar is really important. It's got to be discussed, and it's got to be understood by the buyer who walking in that front door, knowing exactly what their options are. And again, we can reiterate this many times. If you purchase it, you've got to have somebody doing a little bit of looking at what else closed in the area. The last phase closed with people buying solar and seeing a little bit higher comps on there. So that, hey, your client has a good chance, if he purchases solar, that it will appraise. If not, we have to get them prepared for bringing in the difference. And, if you look at solar panels, it goes anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000, right around in that, depending on the size of the home. So that's just one of the things that you need to address when walking into a new home builder.
Wow. So let's go to a couple of our comments here. So
sure.
Andres says he just bought a 3,700 square foot, the comment just got cut off, home that is meant to be a semi-detached condo. I had no idea the difference between a single family home and detached combo. I needed to move the AC to the front yard, just like the model, which is crazy. And now I'm slammed with a hearing from the HOA saying that I'm not allowed to do that. So, in a condominium, you own the airspace. So the land under you is owned, and the structure itself really is owned by the homeowners association. You have the exclusive use to certain areas, normally patios and stuff like that. Fenced yard is your exclusive use area, and you have the airspace. Walls in is yours, exclusive use. But the structure and the land is owned by the HOA, and you have a percentage ownership in that HOA. So, if there's 100 units in there and you're one of them, you own 1/100th of the HOA. In simple terms, is all simple breakdown. And that's how it's handled. So when you're, moving things around and stuff like that, a lot of the exterior, anything exterior, you have to get that cleared by the HOA first. So it's interesting that the model looked like that. And, I could see why you'd think that you could just do that. But this is different. A condo has, obviously much more constraints than a single family home. Now, a single family home can still be in what's called a PUD, or a planned unit development, which is like a master plan community, and can still have an HOA. But that homeowners association isn't owning anything other than maybe common areas like the pool, the greenery, the green belts, and some, hillsides and stuff like that. And their role and goal is to maintain that. And they can still have, you still have these bylaws, and you still have all these regulations on what you can do outside. So if you want to paint, bright pink, you still have to get it approved through the architectural committee of that HOA. But when it's a condo, it's even more strict because it's a completely different type of ownership. So people get confused because if it's a detached condo, you just think it's a house. And that's where people don't realize this is a huge concrete difference. And, I'm really sorry that wasn't explained to you. If you need to, I would say, just reach out to a real estate attorney. If you need one, we can get you in touch with one. They can help you kind of go head to head with the HOA and say, hey, look, if this guy's got it, let's go through and get,
the model has it.
Yeah, the model has it, which is this guy, let's have, cooler heads prevail. Maybe we can do some stuff, some skirting or something, some bushes around it, something to take away the negative, aesthetic of it and make it look good. And so back in the day, so like I remember, the 90s, solar was, just starting the PV solar, the photovoltaic, as most people know it now, on the roof that we've been talking about earlier. That was just coming out, and homeowners associations wouldn't allow it. And the state had to pass a law to say you have to allow it. And at the very least, you might have to just put, something around it to make it look a little better. So that's where they got some of those bevel trims. There used to be some lattice work around it that they would do. But that was a big fight. HOAs were telling people they couldn't do solar in a lot of these planned unit developments and stuff like that. So, sorry for that. If you need help, definitely message us. We'll get you with some people who can help you out there. Betsy says, what about the solar company that put in for free and you buy back electric from them? That is a power purchase agreement. In most cases, if you're purely buying it from them, you've got no,
it's just an easement on your roof.
Yeah, that's it. They've got an easement on your roof, and you don't have to pay guarantee payments. You just pay as you play. Pay as you play. Daisy Ortiz says, I'm thinking of buying a home. I would be a first-time buyer, but I have no idea what to do. Help, please. Definitely. I love that you're a top fan on here, Daisy, as well. Message us, and we'll jump in with you. Min or I'll, and Troy will jump in with you and just kind of, start you from step one and just see where you're at and help you put a path and plan to home ownership in place. So, but this is the first thing to do. Reach out, to a lender, reach out to an agent who can help you, get you on a plan and a path to home ownership. So
the next one's from Myrna. It says, do we have to get the solar from the company they provide, or can we shop around? Absolutely not. You only can get the solar that's on the roof. You cannot go and shop it. That was actually one of the questions my client asked, and they said,
a great question.
Nope.
And that's a great question.
Right. You
can't.
can't.
That's fantastic.
It's basically, it's like a menu. Here's your pricing. It's a yes or a no.
Yep.
Pick one, and that's it. You can't. There's no negotiating. There's no nothing.
Yeah, and depending on which builder, some of them don't even offer the tiers of different usage. It's nope. On this house, it's a 3 kilowatt-hour system. That's it, because that's all that the solar company they've agreed to has put in the flashing and the mounts ahead of time, and that's all they do. So, but that's a great question. So, Andres, my house is not small and yet is still considered a semi-detached condo. Again, a condominium is a type of ownership. So, people get confused with townhouses. Townhouses is more of a design style nowadays. Really, a townhouse used to be a single family house that was attached. So it's an attached single family house where you actually own the land underneath you. That was the true definition of a townhouse. Now you have these condominiums that are townhouse style. It's gotten blurred, and it just confuses people more than ever. So, there's different ways to own things. You can have leased land. You can have this condominium ownership. You can have owned outright, fee simple, where it's a single family residence. You can have co-ops. So there's all kinds of different types of ownership, but just because it's a detached single family home, it can still be a condominium. And that's, I definitely see where you get hung up there. Most people don't know that.
And that's on time. By the way,
common knowledge.
By the way, when you're in, you're in that room and the salesperson selling you, it's what's on title. So you need to find that on title, right? That's where it tells you the true definition of what type of ownership you're taking. And so that's important. And that's something that, having, representation of, and they're giving you that information so you're understanding what type of ownership that you're receiving, and then what the restrictions or liabilities or limitations that you have.
Yep. And then a couple more shout outs. So George says, you guys are awesome. Shout out to Ryan and the team. Thanks, George. Good working with you. Jorge and Maria, love you too. Actually, I need to follow up with some, more stuff I heard today. They're in an interesting situation. The home that they're buying, the seller says, oh, we've got this permitted addition, all this extra square feet. They fall in love with it. We get an escrow. They never got the permits on the home finaled.
Yeah.
And so we're working through. So I'm having to explain to the listing agent, because he's like, oh yeah, we'll just get it taken care of. I'm like, no, it's not that easy. Like, let's break down and start getting.
Gate's tough.
Yeah, let's start breaking down the information. And I finally got the permit card to look at. And so I was like, all right, this isn't as bad.
Right.
We've gotten some good things signed off on. I think we can work through this, but it's crazy, what you think, in a typical seller, and that what they're promoting these houses out, they just don't know sometimes. So he's got an interesting one and we're working through that. So thank you for being patient. You guys are fantastic clients and I'm glad you guys are watching this. So then Andres, Lennar also owns solar. Yeah, a lot of these people, they're in bed with the solar company, so that's all they're going to put on there.
It's money-making activity.
Yep.
I always remember the builder is there to make the most money off of you.
Yep.
Every time. And they want to keep you unrepresented.
Yep.
Right? So you don't ask the questions that you need to be successful in and understand what they're getting into.
Yeah, they don't want the agent getting in the way, really.
Right.
But that's our job, to get in the way. Yeah. So Jay Libra says, are there Airbnb restrictions baked into all of the HOA rules for those communities? New home communities, I got to think most of them do have it. Existing HOAs, not all of them have restrictions on Airbnb. And so if you're looking at doing an Airbnb, the first step is to see what the city requirements are in that area. Like some cities like Anaheim, it's a no-go. If you're, I've got a lot of friends that have Airbnbs in Temecula. They just banned it until they figure out more and try to figure out taxes and stuff. That was a huge hit because there's a big, tourism where, you've got a lot of like wineries and stuff there, but not all HOAs forbid short-term rentals. And so that's what you want to ask. What is the minimum rental period for homes in this area? So you just got to remember you've got a city overlay of rules, and then if it's okay with the city, then you got to figure out if it's okay with the HOA and what are their lease terms. Some complexes, some of the high rises in Long Beach and stuff we've sold in the past, they've got 6-month minimums. Some are 30 days. So you just have to ask that question. If you're looking at renting it or think down the road you might want to keep it as a rental, figure out what the HOA's requirements on rentals are. Some of them cap the rental amount at a certain amount of properties in the community. So if that's interesting to you, like something you care about, you absolutely need to ask whether it's new home construction or resale. So great question, Jay. Salrio says, hello, I'm currently in the market, but need help deciding what's the best route, looking into condo, townhome, or duplex, live in one and rent the other. Hey, you've got some options there, and really we just have to break down and see what the payments are, what that duplex side would add to it for you if it makes sense. But for a lot of people, it makes a lot of sense, especially in the tax breakdown, because you're financing a larger amount. You're able to write off that interest and taxes, and then a lot of people just pocket the money. So you've got some options there. It frees up some things you can do. So we just like to look at all the numbers and see what makes most sense for you, and then what's available out there, obviously. And then Andres says, thanks, guys. Yeah, we'll definitely DM you on the other stuff as well. So what's up? Did I miss one? Yeah, I already said hi.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm surprised you can read it from there, Troy. You blew my mind
Let's go
today.
to number 5.
Yep.
Landscaping and options. Well, let's go. This all ties back to the HOA. So the HOA, actually ties back to the builder. The builder typically gives you the home with a dirt backyard, right? And so you've got to know that the HOA or the city, if there is no HOA, wants that backyard to be landscaped. And so what they do is they give you a time frame in which they want to see either it landscaped, but more importantly, they want to see plans for landscaping. They just don't want you to be a dirt backyard. None of them have an option of dirt backyards, right? So typically on most home builders, the HOA will give you 6 months to turn in plans. So either you handwrite them out and kind of measure everything out and tell them what you're going to do, or you get your landscaper, a professional landscaper, to put a plan together, and then you submit those into the HOA. The HOA then gives you the yay or the nay, right?
Yeah, well, and on that, once you submit that to the architectural committee, to do that, as part of that, you have to get your neighbors sign off on. So the neighbor to the right of you, the neighbor to the left of you, behind you, they've all got to sign off on what you're doing in that backyard. Which always kind of made me laugh, but if you're just doing grass or something simple, but I think it's more, when you're doing pools and stuff.
Put a cypress tree.
But either,
trees they're going to grow, in the next 5 years, they're going to be,
billion feet tall.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, and they'll scrutinize it. They take some time, they'll look it over, and they'll get back to you. So just know that you've got a time limit, and you really need to start thinking about it and developing those plans now. And don't upset your neighbors because they've got to sign off on whatever you're going to put in there. So.
Well, fantastic, guys. I know we're kind of rolling a little bit late here, but I definitely appreciate that all the things that you do, you have other things and other options. We definitely appreciate that you're here watching us. So again, if you like anything we're talking about, hit the like button, comment with us. We will absolutely can comment off of our live air here, and we're more than happy to have conversations with you, kind of help you through it. We're going to give you our best, professional knowledge and information that we can give you, and so you can make better and best practice and decisions, right?
I'm sorry, man. I just thought Juan Pollo would come over, give Troy a raise. All right. What is minimum wage nowadays?
Damn it. So yeah, and then of course, like he talked about, I want to find a duplex. Well, on Fridays we do, deal of the week. So we give you the best real estate deals that we come across during that week.
And we love picking up duplexes. So we love duplexes.
And duplexes are definitely one of them because there's people get a lot. The majority of the general public are afraid of duplexes, right? Oh, I don't want to deal with somebody else, and but ultimately, the tenant relationship, especially if it's in the same building, you can watch over your and protect your investment. And guess what? It grows and grows, and all of a sudden, that's the first place as a first-time home buyer. You can then turn around and then use part of the equity, pull equity out like Min says all the time, and then put it on the next home, and then rent that unit that you lived in, and now you have an investment for as long as you want or for life, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we're going to do a couple more shout outs in a second, but before we go, we definitely want to get in there. So always make sure that you get a home inspection if you're buying a new build. If you've got an agent out there, get one. Ask them if they've got any good recommendations of a good inspector. If not, message us. We'll get you with one of our fantastic inspectors. And obviously, any of the homes we do, we absolutely provide that free of charge for our clients on the new home builds, just because we want to make sure that everything gets fixed for them. And, it's crazy. A lot of these people will, turn around and sell it 2, 3, 4 years. And, you want to make sure that these things are not popping up on the home inspection when you go to sell it as well. So,
and the other reason why we do this, and it's very important, is that a builder, and especially when you go into the sales office, will say, hey, well, you got a 10-year here, you got a 1 year there, and you got a 90-day there. Guess what? They're going to be long gone before something that you figure out is a problem when you could have, addressed it right off the bat, right?
Yep,
right off the bat. And, even though, and I'll say this, and I know that one of the WHAM members, Jamie Lyons, she had brought me a client, and we went to a new home build we closed last month. And when I got the free home inspection for him, and there were 5, solid things that were wrong with that.
Yep.
And I fought with that sales office over and over. In fact, I didn't fight with them. They just flat said, no, you got a warranty. You deal with it when it actually breaks down. There's no preventive stuff here. And so then after I talked, we went from there and went on the final walkthrough. I presented it to the foreman that was handling all and he goes, oh man, I'm very sorry. We will fix these things. And actually, they did. They fixed them and
as
took
they
care
should.
of them.
As they should.
But if we didn't get a home warranty,
home inspection,
a free home inspection, then you would not have known it. And in fact, the buyer came to me and hugged me dude, hey man, I really appreciate it because I didn't know these things, and now I know them all because the what we know about the sales office is don't get an inspection. You're already covered.
Yeah,
right?
you're covered. You're fine. So. Yeah, you don't need it. So a couple more shout outs. So Kat Marie says, hi, I went to check out model homes for fun, but now I'm interested in one of the communities I checked out. Will I still be able to get proper representation with the real estate agent? I had no idea by signing in it takes away representation. Potentially, we definitely got to talk to you and see. We've had some stuff where, especially if it's like husband and wife, wife signs in, then we go and represent the husband, vice versa, one or the other. So we can kind of figure some stuff out there. But at the very least, we want to help you with that. So we'll DM you, and at least we can help you walk you through it, even if we're not able to, truly represent you and get compensated and stuff. So we'll definitely still take care of you on that one. So definitely direct message us, and we'll get together and get that figured out. And then Leonard Brum says, is it better to buy or lease solar? That's a fantastic question. It completely depends on what your time frame is. How long are you going to be in that house? And then how much power do you use, and what type of system are they offering you? All of those things kind of get jumbled in a pile, and you got to outweigh everyone. And it really comes down to the person buying the home.
Right. So as one of my clients this week, they were just more of an elderly couple, over 60, wanted to get in the home. They're using very little electricity. My other clients were millennials, hot to go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Both of them had Teslas, right? The whole idea behind a Tesla is that you want the power, right?
Yep.
So they're going to put up their stations. They're going to mount their own stations to the solar. They're buying the solar, right?
Yep.
So one thought, okay, power purchase was fantastic. That's the way I want to go. The other one's like electric cars. I have stations. I'm going to use it. I want to purchase it so I have no bills. My bill is just my monthly is wrapped in my loan, right?
And you've got all the interest right off and everything on that too. Plus, you're probably going to get a federal tax credit on that rebate. So that's a fantastic way to go, especially if you're going to use a lot of electricity like that, and if you've got a long-term plan. At the end of the day, on resale, it is valuable, to the next buyer. So let's cover two things. One is solar on resale. So even if you're spending 30 grand on a solar system, like let's say you've got an existing home, you want to have SunPower, Sunrun, whoever, Tesla, Solar City, come out and put that panels on, and you're at a 30 grand system, you can't expect to get that, all paid back when you sell. Right now, people are still getting federal tax credits. Buyers know that. The typical resale value to a home is about 15 to 20 grand. That's what we're seeing in the market. So people ask us that all the time. Just wanted to throw that out there as well. So if you are doing a purchase, just kind of know that's what you're going to get on the resale, because people know there's other costs factored in that. And Fong says, deal of the week for multiple cities. Yes. So yeah, you know what? We'll talk to Joe, maybe do a Fresno deal of the week, and maybe we could do something in Sacramento as well, because I know we got a lot of clients, checking in from there. So if you have a city that you want us to cover deal of the week on, go ahead and direct message us on the House Heroes, and we will definitely make sure we've got a deal of the week in that city. If not this week, next week, depending on how many requests we get and how much time we have. So, but we definitely want to start covering some other cities for you guys as well. Yeah.
Well, fantastic, guys. Again, I'm sure you had plenty of options tonight to do different things. We're very happy that you got online, checked us out, listened to us. I hope we gave you some valuable information. If you know somebody that's actually looking for a new build or even beginning the search, definitely hit the share and then share this over to them. Hit the like button. We definitely appreciate,
absolutely,
likes, and then any comments you have any questions, any just comments out loud, your experiences, we're more than happy to hear. We want to make sure that, everybody has the best possible experience. And if they've had any issues with anything, we're able to kind of help them through it.
Yep.
So that's what we're here for. And then again, on Thursday, we're doing, on Thursday, there's going to be the Spanish side of the House Hero / Wham. We'll be live there at 8:00 with Roxy, hitting that out and giving out fantastic content as well.
Absolutely.
She's going over what we're discussing in Spanish.
Yeah.
Right, in Spanish. Men will be on tomorrow, which will be Wednesday on Facebook Live at 12:30, and then again on Instagram on Thursday at 12:30, and then again deal of the week, and that's becoming a very popular show right now. Deal of the week.
It's fun finding them too.
Right. So Friday 2 p.m. we'll be on the House Hero channel on that, and the other thing we just discussed at the very beginning of the show, if you're looking to get on our list of REOs in your area, go to the House Hero site, DM us over there, and we will get you set up on the list of REOs in your area. And then when any new REO pops up active, it will actually show up in your email, and you'll have that right away. So guys, thank you very much again. Ryan,
that's it. Just please like or share us, get the word out there, because just by the comments we're seeing tonight, there's a lot of people who need this information. There's a lot of people going and buying homes, especially with the new builders, that aren't getting the proper representation and probably aren't getting all of the information that they should be having to make proper decisions. So,
and actually just want to last shout out here is we're going to go ahead and have the complete home buyer's guide. It will be available in the next 2 weeks. We're going to get that out, free copy for everybody, to give you and guide you through the home buying process, so you feel more comfortable when you're walking it through, and all the way from beginning to search, all the way to the close of escrow and get your keys, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So,
I'm excited to do that. I mean, it's been long nights, late hours trying to reread the book, get as much content in there as possible in good flow. So this is not something, we bought on Amazon and relabeled with our own name and regurgitated. This is everything.
Our experiences.
And our experiences over the last 20 years. And we've tried to stuff it all into one book and make it easy to read and fun. So that's what we're adding right now is some of the fun. We're trying to sprinkle in the fun and love. So thank you guys again for joining us. Please spread the word, like us, share us. And good night and God bless.
Hey, good night, guys.